Broadcasting from the Radio for One studios in Franklin, Michigan, it's the Detroit Cast. Please welcome your hosts, Mike Clark and Mike Walters.
Shut your fucking mouth.
Yeah, hi.
And good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Monday edition of the Detroit Cast. Mike and Jay here. Eric and Timko, the whole gang. How was the weekend, everybody? Everyone doing all right?
Yeah, real good.
Yeah? Anything exciting? Travel about, I'm assuming?
No, this was just one of those weekends, just get stuff done. It was all right, yeah.
Work around the house,
feel good about
yard work type stuff?
Yeah, a little bit. Too much rain, but, you know.
Yeah. When is this weather?
Spring.
It seems like everyone around the country it's like 90 degrees everywhere, except here. We're in this weird zone where Chicago and Detroit are not getting decent weather. I think it's supposed to break this week finally and hit 80.
Right.
But
yeah, we'll be bitching about the heat real soon.
Yeah, I know. I want it now. Yeah, I guess things could be worse for us, and thank God we're not in a circus, I guess.
Yeah.
The circus has kind of gone through, I don't know, the hardships over the last few years with interest groups that are constantly attacking them about the use of animals and mistreatment of animals and whatnot. And
that's serious stuff. Have you been to a circus in the last decade?
I haven't.
Yeah, I have. I've been a couple times.
Well, you've got kids.
To the Palace, yeah, with my kids, and they've got all the protesters out at the entrances.
Do they still do? They go to every one of those things?
Yeah, they've got big poster boards with. Well, I tried not to look at them as I drove by.
Yeah.
Are they
chained
graphic?
Up
elephants and stuff. Yeah.
Stuff's nasty.
But you know what? It's kind of a cool show.
Well, I imagine, yeah. The people that are the talent that goes into the acts that they do are amazing.
Most of it is acrobatic stuff.
Yeah.
And the coolest thing, I mean, anybody who's been in the last 10 years will know what I'm talking about. It's that big steel ball where all the motorbikes go around and around.
Oh, how do they not smash into each other?
I have no idea.
Those mini little bikes?
Yeah, there'll be like 3 guys in there, and they're just going different ways. And then they add 2 more. Then they add 2. It's just,
really?
You end up with like 8 guys just zipping around this thing.
Really? Wow.
Freaking amazing.
That's amazing. And the reason we bring it up is because yesterday, and this was in Rhode Island, Providence, I believe. The circus came through town. Ringling Brothers, same type of thing. Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey, and they have this high wire act, and I'm sure a lot of people have seen this. That seriously injured 9 people when the metal truss that was holding these people, they were doing this human chandelier, I guess was the bit. But amazingly, these people are hanging by their hair.
Right. There's like 8 women kind of around a giant chandelier hanging down.
Yeah.
And as soon as the curtain dropped, like, hey, here goes the act, the
truss
thing
snapped.
Yeah.
And
fell about 40 feet or something.
2 stories or so. They're saying 25 to 40 feet, depending on how high up the chandelier these.
Right.
Obviously, they're hanging at different levels.
Yeah, there's one hanging right at the bottom and then a bunch around.
Yeah.
Ugh, man, it's awful to see.
Oh, yeah. And they're acting like, everything's cool, everyone's fine, but there's some how could they not have I'm surprised no one died.
Seriously.
Can we let's watch the video here real quick. It's quite amazing.
And of course, everyone's more concerned about the children who saw it, right?
Oh yeah, of course they are.
Oh man.
Oh.
Hey, there's a person right underneath it.
Yeah, she the one that got nailed.
Oh, and he ducks down and then looks up and.
When I'm sorry, it's in one channel. It's kind of weird there. Maybe we can mono it, but not. What are you gonna do? It's the video. But when I first saw it, it looked almost like it was a soft, like there was a mat underneath them or something. The way they bounced and I think it's more the curtain that just dropped.
That might be, or they might have some kind of mat-like surface set up. The cool thing about the circus is it's they really move around the stadium, and they start doing stuff over to your right, and there goes the lights, and then they go over to it. It literally is like several rings,
like a circus.
Yeah, it's like a 3-ring circus. Yeah, but I think in it looks like one of these rings where they probably have trapezes going over later and stuff. They probably do have it somewhat softened, but yeah, nothing's gonna really.
Yeah, I don't care how soft it is.
Big airbag. That was pretty bad.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
But watch their legs go up in the air like.
Yeah.
Whoa!
Oh God, it is a immediate drop. Those fans just. I wonder how long before they realized, oh, that's not part of the act.
No, the video I saw, it was a lady doing it from her iPhone, and you can hear the little girl next to her and stuff, and you hear people say, I wonder, is that supposed to...
Is that supposed to happen? Yeah, it's funny the way that goes. It seems... But
most of it is now, like I said, acrobatic stuff.
Yeah.
And so, gosh, it's bound to happen at some point, right?
Oh, yeah.
Cascade rains descend, nurturing the strong.
Get to the point.
Yeah, there's always all this dramatic bullshit that leads up to it.
Now, why didn't it fall like right now?
Right.
You know, while the curtain's up and no one can see it. There goes the curtain. Yeah.
Did you hear the ringmaster's line though? Suspended only by the... Ouch.
Yeah, they still don't know. They're still like, I don't know. Is that supposed to happen like that?
Yeah, they just darken the lights go off, and then they start trying to attend to the victims here. But the quote I saw from one of the spokespeople or head of the circus was like, oh yeah, they're good. Everybody's good.
Yeah.
And then the next quote is from the hospital, and they're like, yeah, one person's in critical.
Yeah.
And other people are.
Which one's critical? Do we know if it was the girl on the ground?
I'm guessing it's the person on the ground. Jeez.
Which is weird when you think about that. These people fall 2 stories, and the one in critical is the one on the ground. But yeah, that
have all that shit fall
on you. Yeah. And I couldn't. It was hard to tell from the article I read, but it says the show was canceled. Oh, okay. As was the show scheduled for 3 p.m. It was like, well, they better have canceled that. I wonder if there were people in line demanding their money back. Or what they do now. I mean, the circus, I would have thought the circus was all but retired at this point.
But you know what? Over the 200 years or whatever they've been doing this, I'm sure they've had some mishaps along the way. And it's
no doubt about it.
Media now spreads this like wildfire. So
yeah.
But yeah, you're right. You would have thought the circus would be dead.
Yeah.
I think that this is the last standing kind of American. It used to be Ringling Brothers, and then there was Barnum Bailey.
Right.
Now they're merged.
Yeah.
And like I said, it comes around maybe once a year, and
is that it?
Not super well attended. They have several shows during the week, but I think the ones I went to were maybe a few thousand to 5,000 people there.
No kidding. Yeah. Well, that's interesting how they set it up. I didn't know because I was trying to think if I've ever even been to the circus. Maybe as a little kid, I think I went once, but it sounds almost like an SNL set where you've got you focus over here, and then when that bit is done, now we get the trapeze people.
Exactly, and then they're setting up in the other one, and it's logistically pretty cool to see because.
I imagine it would be, but. You got to think anytime, Beth and I were talking about this earlier, anytime you've got something where you're breaking down and setting up and moving it and going to the next city and
somebody's bound to miss a bolt.
Oh, yeah, exactly. You're bound to miss a bolt, and the whole metal truss gives out. These people hanging by their hair is the weirdest part of this story to me.
Yeah, we haven't really emphasized that, but yeah, they're hanging from their hair.
From their hair, for real? Like, what's to prevent any one of them from just their hair giving out? That's just insanity, but I don't
hopefully they're all right.
Yeah, hopefully they are, and that would not be fun to be a part of it. But who would you rather be? Someone in that circus right now or Donald Sterling? Whose position would you rather be? I think I'd still rather be Donald Sterling and have billions of dollars. And but this story has reached a new level for me. I don't know if you saw any of V. Stiviano.
A little bit.
Her interview with Barbara Wawa on Friday night. But boy, did she look like an idiot.
Yeah.
Just a dolt. And how insulting for Donald Sterling when she's on camera talking about being his right-hand man or right-hand arm, I think she said. right arm hand or something. Just ridiculous. And then how insulting to be. She's with the owner, so she's got free reign of the stadium and the executives. She's like hanging out in these meetings, these big executive meetings. Can you imagine how insulting that would be to be in this and watching this circus atmosphere with this idiot, this total idiot walking in, and she's making calls and just because his dick is out of control.
Yeah, no, I'm sure they all understand that, and it's all just part of the deal.
Yeah.
All these highly educated people sitting there working for him or working with him, just kind of, as she leaves, I'm sure just shaking their head. Like,
rolling their eyes. And she admits, too, freely, like, these people just don't like me because of my control and pride. It's like, no, they don't like you because you're an idiot, and they have to listen to him, so you come with that package deal. I wonder how many people have just left or thought really hard about leaving that organization. Like, they can't deal with this V. Stiviano one more second. I know it'd be really hard for me. And one thing I didn't expect to come from this whole deal with Donald Sterling and the racism aspect was that I'd agree with Mitch Albom on something. And it's actually happened this weekend where, and I know you're a huge fan of Mitch Albom.
I won't even click on his articles because I don't want to give him the web hits.
Really? Well, we didn't click on anything here because I actually pulled it out of the paper, but he's bringing up a point that that I believe pretty strongly in, and I agree with actually every word he said in his article, and I'm shocked that he would have a point of view that is probably at the very least unpopular to say right this moment, but it's a thing that jumped out at me with this whole story where it's like the real problem is the privacy issue, in my opinion. Like, how come nobody's talking about it? And you were adamant that, hey, that day's coming for her. Don't think that people are going to, and I didn't believe you, to be honest with you, Jay. I didn't think that I thought it was about Sterling and the racism, that's it, and this bitch is going to skate on the fact that she's illegally recording someone in their house, making public comment, but we're starting to slowly see people come out against V. Stiviano.
Yeah, and call her out for being a complete bitch.
Yeah, and recording him and how that's not.
And by the way, how does her explanation that, we were taping things because Donald would forget things and so he wanted me to do this, how does that square with her taking the tapes and giving them to various friends?
It doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't. Remember she said, wow, look at that complexion.
Yeah,
she really does not have a nice complexion. She's really made up. No, but
she's gross.
She said she was deflecting the idea that she sold it to TMZ, right?
Right.
And she was kind of suggesting that, well, one of these people to whom I gave these tapes must have been greedy,
right,
and wanted to sell. Well, what are you doing giving these tapes away if they're all made with consent?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Why would you give them to multiple people?
Yeah.
Why would you? You wouldn't. If it was truly about him forgetting things, you wouldn't give it to anybody for safekeeping. That's not why you made them, unless you knew you had something on there that you could use against him.
She was sitting there in all her glory with Barbara Wawa.
Yes.
You see that look on her face. She just thought she was so sophisticated and so enlightened.
Yeah.
And she just drives you nuts, man.
Yeah, and I think people were, it sounded
look at that complexion.
Yeah.
I can't get over it.
I still want to know what this relationship is about. Like, she's talking in that interview with Wawa. She just left Donald Sterling. Like, they're still together. Whatever they are, yes. Like, he's
addicted.
Yeah. So she's talking about his current state of affairs. How is he currently mentally? And she's like, he's hurt and he's in a lot of pain. She sounded like Michael Jackson, to be honest with you. He's hurting and all that kind of stuff. But it's like, this dude is still putting up with this chick? Are you serious? But his wife is kind of in the mix, and this mistress, whatever the hell she is. I don't know, but back to the Mitch Albom side of it, and bear with me, Jay, because I know how you feel. But he's saying that by the fact that we only got 15 minutes of this conversation when there's supposedly all these hours of it, he says it comes down hard on Sterling for his bigoted views. What if we discovered that a private argument with our spouses in which we sounded cruel or sexist, and who hasn't at some point, was suddenly being viewed worldwide, and readers were clamoring for our firing? Would we staunchly defend First Amendment rights, or would we wonder whatever happened to private, meaning private? California has a law, as does Michigan, that says it's criminal to record a conversation unless all parties consent to the recording. It's a law. You can look it up. Yet the same news media that crashed down on the slightest infraction by celebrities has no hesitation using something that might have been obtained illegally. Doesn't matter that the woman's lawyer now claims she was taping with Sterling's consent. This is a lawyer for a woman who uses multiple aliases, takes millions from a married man, and is currently walking around LA with a visor over her face, telling gossip outlets that she'll one day be president. Something tells me Sterling's lawyers will have a different take. What's important is that nobody knew the real legality of this recording before slapping it on every news outlet across the globe. It seems as if is that we got it. Let someone else twist over how. And I agree with him. He's right. Mm-hmm. He's right.
He's wrong insofar as he said that Michigan bars anything but two-party consent. We talked about that. He's wrong, man. You can't eavesdrop.
Oh,
remember?
Yes.
You can have a single-party tape in Michigan.
In Michigan, yeah, you're right. You're right, Jay.
But,
how is that how he worded it?
He said in both Michigan and California.
That says it's criminal to record a conversation unless all parties consent to the recording. You're right. That's not. He says, look it up.
He's
throwing it in your face.
He's wrong as to Michigan.
Is he? I think you're right. That you only need one party consent right. In Michigan.
I did look it up.
Yeah.
But
wow,
I totally get the point and agree with that. But again, we gotta remember what context we're talking about. We're talking about a partnership, and the partners are pissed, and they have a right to be pissed.
Sure.
So when he's just trying to equate it to, oh, haven't we all had these conversations in private?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but do we want that broadcast? No, but it wouldn't have corresponded with our lives because we're not in that same kind of partnership deal.
It wouldn't affect us the way
exactly.
There are other people involved. However, at the root of it, his argument is going to be, hey, private conversations are private. It shouldn't have gotten out there, and does it really shock anybody that an 80-year-old would have those kind of views anyways? I mean, honestly. I don't think anybody would be terribly shocked by that.
Isn't that what the Turtle Rock guy said?
Yeah.
2K or
whatever.
Yeah.
It's true. But it's brought to light all the it's brought to the front pages of everything, the whole race issue, and the NAACP is all over it. They had their dinner this weekend in Detroit that was attended by more people than normal. They had over 4,000 people at this thing. Sunday, and of course their keynote speaker was all over this Harvard law professor, and he's these guys are always in charge of the what's this guy, the Houston Institute for Race and Justice, despite so they've all got their angle, and this really helps them with this discussion about race and all this stuff. And so he's talking to the group, this did I say his name there, keynote speaker Charles Ogletree Jr., and one of the topics, of course, is they're all over this whole Sterling deal. He says that despite gains made with the nation's first African-American president and attorney general, we are not post-racial. We have a long way to go. And then he told this crowd about this time he was trying to catch a New York City taxi cab. It didn't happen, said the Stanford graduate. I had the credentials. I was dressed well, but I didn't have the right color for them to stop. But there were white men who stepped up, stopped the cabs, and moved aside so I could get in. Thank you for allowing me to be treated like I should be treated. I don't know if I believe that. I'm sorry. I don't buy that. I think that's a lie. And I'm sure you don't want to get into this, but that's bullshit.
It's a nice anecdote for a keynote speaker.
Exactly. That sounds like a nice anecdote for a keynote speaker. I just don't believe that a well-dressed African-American gentleman in New York City would stand on a corner and not be able to catch a cab. That's a lie. If this was 30 years ago, maybe that would be an argument. But I just don't believe for a second that that's true. If it helps his case, so be it. But I don't buy it personally. But anyway, I guess it's one of those things that this is going to happen, and it's going to bring to the forefront topics like this anytime you get a front page globally story as big as this Sterling one is. Mm-hmm. And it also probably helps people like on a separate side, the mascot debate. Mm-hmm. which carries on today and is front page news for the in USA Today. I don't know how much if you saw this, Jay, but
the Native American stuff.
The Native American stuff, and I have no idea what your angle and take is on this, but it's a tough one, man. I can see both sides of an argument here, and it's hard to really go for one side or the other. You know,
yeah, but you know which way you want to go, right?
Well, personally, I feel like anytime I don't want anybody being told what to do and how to run their thing, and the underlying thing is there's a lot of money generated, and I think it's when you start talking about racism, I think it's kind of unfair to say that these are racist bigots that have these logos for their teams. I think when you're talking about the Indians or the Braves, these mascots are used as a warrior figure, right? That's why you have that.
That's
you don't
the
have
argument.
Well, it's a fair argument, don't you think?
Dude, yes it is. But
oh God,
the Redskins,
yeah,
that's overtly racist. It really is, and I'm not saying like
you pussy.
No, believe me, I've thought about this, and I have a hard time being anything other than down the middle on this one. Unfortunately, I'm on the fence. I really do see both sides. But if Native Americans had any sort of representation above what they do, it's such a small number. If it was anything close to, say, African Americans or Asians in terms of people who are motivated to make change, I think this would be quickly changed. It's the Redskins.
Yeah, and Daniel Snyder, who owns the Redskins, has come out, and he's been one of those, because the Redskins, you're right, is the big one that people always go to.
The black skins, the white skins.
Yeah.
It's just...
And it's the NFL, which is the premier sports league in this country, and he is absolutely, no, I am not changing the name, and his quote was, we are not changing the name of this team, never, and you can put that all in caps in your quote. And so he means never as far as he's concerned. I'm assuming at some point down the road, Daniel Snyder's not going to live forever. Someone else will take over this team, and I'm assuming at some point this will probably end up getting changed.
And I guess I don't disagree with him taking that stance. He is the owner, and man, that one troubles me a little bit, the Redskins. But I get more with the Braves or the Seminoles, Blackhawks. It is more of a warrior. That argument definitely comes to the forefront, makes a lot more sense. Yeah, but and the Redskins is a tough one to defend, other than just saying it's tradition.
Yeah, and the fact is, think about how much money is made with those logos. It'd be really hard to justify changing your color scheme and logo and name when, let's be honest, the Redskins, every year when you look at jersey sales and T-shirt merch in general, the Redskins are always in the top 5. The Cowboys, the Redskins, there's just a few teams, and the Redskins are one of those. People love
the same team, keep the same color scheme, and then just sell a bunch of new shit to people who now need new shit.
Yeah, I suppose that's the argument they would make, and I think it's tough too when the Indians, for instance, they had the caricature. Was it Wahoo, Chief Wahoo, or was that Nakahoma? Was that Chief Nakahoma?
I don't remember. I thought it was Wahoo, that goofy thing with the big teeth.
Yeah. Oh shit. Because I thought Nakahoma, as in Nakahomer. Oh. Was that the Braves or the Indians?
I don't know.
I can't remember. But there's no doubt that from 46 to 50 years, 1946 through 1950 and 51 through 72, their caricature of that guy, the drawing with the big nose and the beady eyes and the big teeth.
Nothing respectful about that.
That could be. I could totally understand where people go, that's absolutely offensive. But they've just gone to the C now, Cleveland. Yeah. They've just gone with the C emblem, but we're looking at some logos here. And the other thing too is people in the stands dress up as these characters too, and with their redskin headdresses and painted in red.
Painting themselves red.
Yeah. I guess what my big problem, Jay, is with this whole thing is it has to do with the whole world we live in today, where everybody's got a problem with everything. I think if it wasn't the atmosphere we live in, where everybody's got to apologize for everything and everything you say is offensive and you should be fired for it, and we're constantly, you can't go 5 minutes on TV without seeing someone apologize for some bullshit. the guy the other day who mumbled the N-word in the old Child's Rhyme. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a by his toe if he hollers. There's catch a tiger by the toe, and then when we were little kids, there was the N-word one.
I never heard that.
You never heard that? Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch
No.
Well, this guy did that old children's rhyme, and this teacher, and mumbled it, and was like, catch a by his toe if you, and apologized. Nobody said anything. Nobody made a stink about it. It didn't even air, and this guy's apologizing for how it could be perceived, and it sounds like I might have, if you turn it up all the way and listen closely, I mumbled and it could be taken out. It's like, we're getting to this point. So
this is just one more thing on your list.
It's one
of things
more
that's driving
thing.
you crazy,
yes,
right?
This whole atmosphere drives me out of my effing mind, dude. It really does. So it's not so much just this issue. If it was only this issue, I'd probably be much more inclined to go, okay, what's the big deal? But it kind of feels like I don't want to give up that fight. Screw them, you know. They don't like it. Deal with it.
I get it. Like I said, I'm right down the middle on this one. Unfortunately, I see it both ways.
Well, the good thing is for our teams, I guess we don't have to worry that Lions are going to come up and raise a stink with the Detroit Lions logo.
We're good.
Yeah, I think we're kind of good on that. The Tigers, I don't see making a big issue. The Pistons, yeah. See, we've got things that aren't going to cause much trouble. Yeah. And this is, speaking of the Lions, this is kind of a big week for the world of Detroit and football in general with the draft. Finally, we finally made it. We're in draft week.
It felt like mid-April something was missing in life, right?
It sure did.
I mean, this was just a weird winter all around, winter, spring, because it just took forever. And here we are. We're going to be mid-May before we have the draft. It's weird.
It is very weird because it's always been in April, and I haven't even heard why that was. Do you even have any idea why?
I don't know.
It's pushed back like that? I don't know, but it's turned into this giant event nowadays.
It's probably why. Just talk about it more, you know?
Yeah.
Just like the Super Bowl, now we have the full week, you know?
Leading up to the
that
draft.
A long time,
but it's getting more and more, and they dedicate more and more time to it. And but, you know, there's a lot of talk, and the Lions are front and center with a lot of the draft talk this week because, you know, they're just in that prime position, picking at 10, where you can move up and get in that really high draft pick area or trade down, but there's a lot of value in that 10th pick, and there's a lot of debate as to what the Lions are going to do. I don't know what your opinion is or what you're thinking, as far as addressing needs goes. But
yeah, I think you have to go defense, and I think you have to not necessarily look at, you know, a real sexy player. I'm kind of, you know, it's easy to latch on to the wide receiver, Sammy Watkins,
yep,
and go,
Clemson,
wow, wouldn't that be awesome to put, you know, him next to Calvin and this and that? But I feel like we've kind of seen that story before with the Williamses and all
Charles
that.
Rogers.
Yeah, Charles Rogers. And so I think you have to finally really concentrate on the defense.
Yeah.
And go with either a DB or a linebacker.
And in that scenario, how do you feel? I know you're a Spartan.
I'm a Spartan, but man,
that
makes me nervous taking Darqueze Dennard.
Yeah.
Because a lot of cornerbacks don't pan out.
Yeah.
And gosh, I just don't want your guy to be one of those that everybody groans at for the next 3 years.
Yeah. Well, it's tough because I never like drafting the local favorite.
Feels a little
Rogers.
overvalued. Like you're thinking of them more than maybe nationally people would. But
yeah, anytime you're thinking about, hey, this guy will put fans in the seats, I don't want that coming into play.
Yeah.
You want just the best talent, and you know, there is something to be said about these kids that go to a local university and they're a superstar, and I'm sure Dennard is an amazing talent. He's an amazing player, and hopefully will have a great long career in the NFL. But there is something to be said for a kid in college. Even if they get a little bit of money, whether it's, you know, behind the scenes or whatnot, we're talking hundreds of dollars. We're not talking a lot. So they're not, while they're celebrity, they're not leached off of in that position yet. But the day you go to the NFL, he's an instant lottery winner.
Yeah.
He's worth a lot of money. And now you got a thing where he's in this market where he's got a lot of friends, family. So I think there's definitely
less family
something
for him. He's from Georgia, I think, but
is
still,
he?
Yeah, your point is.
Yeah, And it rang true with the Charles Rogers. So there's a lot of hangers on, and you know what I mean? Like, that didn't do him any favors. And who's the other, the Piston who went to state? Mateen.
It's got to be tough to stay in the same city, I would think. I don't think anybody would want to do that.
I wouldn't think so either. Although the Lions would definitely be an attractive place, I think, for anybody. I think most people agree that whether they put it together or not, there's a lot of talent there. They're not like a typical team that's picking in the top every year, and they're just a garbage squad. The Lions, on paper, should be a contender, right? So that all said, I don't know how you feel. I think you're kind of along the same thinking of let the local talent go somewhere else.
Yeah,
and
agreed.
Start fresh for them. And so, because I agree with you, Jay. I think Sammy Watkins is an appealing pick at receiver, but we've got Golden Tate.
That's the thing, is they just signed Golden Tate. Had they not done that, okay.
Yeah.
You could see doing that and being excited about that, but
there's only so many balls to go around.
Exactly. You're going to just load them up on receivers, spend that much on receivers. You can't. Unfortunately, with the limited draft picks you get each year and the limited amount of money you have toward the cap, you just can't keep throwing everything at one position like that. That doesn't touch the ball enough.
Yeah. And defense has been a glaring problem. Now, their defense was better last year, but cornerback for just about every team in the NFL is a position you have to have strong.
It seems like forever, too. The Lions have just
struggled with that.
Ever since they let Ray Crockett go. Honest to God. They let him go to Denver in, 91 or whatever.
Yeah, 90.
Ever since then, it just seems like they've been floundering around.
Yeah.
Really, in the defensive backfield, it's been.
Yeah, I mean, unless you go back to
Westbrook. Remember, they drafted Westbrook
from Texas,
and he was supposed to be the guy. Terry Fair. They went through all that crap.
Yeah.
And then they just started plugging and piecing things together, and it's just been a mess ever since. I feel like.
Totally. Who's the other kid? I'm trying to remember the name of the other corner that's really high on everybody's list.
Gilbert.
Gilbert, yeah.
He's I think projected a little higher than Darqueze Dennard right now, but I think a lot of people kind of look at them as hand in hand.
Yeah,
pretty close.
Well, it'll be interesting, and there's a lot of talk too of Ndamukong Suh, and what do you do with him? Do you use him as trade bait? Try and unload him and move up in the draft and all this stuff.
See, I would try to unload him and get more picks. I wouldn't try to move up.
Yeah,
I just don't like the idea of giving up a ton just to move up a few picks. You know, it just seems, man, it's a lot to give up.
It is, and
I think you need more bodies, you need more athletes, you get more picks.
Yeah. Well, Wojo had an interesting article today talking about that very thing with Sue, and kind of saying the same thing as you. Like, if you're on the end of the team that's desperately trying to trade up for something, you just set yourself up to be burned and overpay for something. Whereas if you sit back and let people come to you and they want to move up to your position, well, now your bargaining spot is a lot better, and you're less likely to be taken advantage of and taken for a run. So I kind of agree, man. I'd rather see them move down, if anything, or stay where they are and address some needs on defense, because there's no doubt there are big needs there.
Just real quick, the reason they say the reason the draft is so far back is there's a scheduling conflict with Music City.
No way.
Yes, that's
seriously?
What they said. Yep.
So it's just a one-year thing then?
All of our lives are affected like this because of some stupid concert or something.
There was something at Radio City Music Hall. No, he says actually now that apparently it could be a running conflict throughout the next few years.
Well, then why don't you move the draft?
And they're looking at moving it either somewhere else in New York or possibly out of New York altogether, because he says he wants it back where it kind of was before. I can't imagine
who wants
Roger
it back?
Goodell.
And he wants it back in New York, or
he said,
just
in April.
Should move it around.
More back time-wise in April.
Oh, okay.
But they say they are looking at after this year. For next year, they're looking at possibly different venues, and it just says not even just in New York necessarily, outside of New York.
Imagine having that like at the Fox or something.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. Would you go to something like that?
No.
Me either. It'd be fun to watch on TV, but
all the Lions fans stand there booing. And,
like
the Jets fans do.
Oh God, those Jets fans every year. It's in New York, so the Giants and Jets fans are out there in full force. speaking of Detroit sports, the Tigers had a great weekend too, and we won't stay too much on the whole sports thing. I know it seems like we are, but
yeah,
briefly,
they're looking hot, right?
yeah,
5 in a row.
5 in a row, and I think 7 out of their last 8 they've won. And Verlander had a no-hitter to take it
Into the 6th.
Yeah, 6 2/3. I think he got through.
Nice.
Before his nemesis, his arch nemesis, Billy Butler.
He
God,
kills him.
Dude, every year Billy Butler. That's the second time he's broken up a no-hitter
I
in the last couple of
I
years.
forget what I read as averages against Verlander,
Like
but it's
400.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, 4 or
above 400.
500. Yeah, it's crazy.
Isn't that weird?
It's very weird, and I don't know why that would be. Why one guy would, but I think most pitchers that are super dominant have that guy, that Billy Butler. I think all of them do. That there's one guy in the league who just tends to have their number for whatever reason.
I felt like Jim Thome would always crush Tiger pitching.
Yeah.
And whether that was Verlander specifically, I don't know, but I just feel like every time he came to bat, it would be like, fuck.
Yeah,
Just the way
yeah.
that guy held that, it looked like a toothpick in his hand.
I
He
know.
just- oh,
Beast.
man.
There was the shortstop or third baseman for the White Sox too that always had their number as well.
Konerko?
Yeah, Konerko, exactly. It was like, God, Konerko again? Enough.
Speaking of third baseman, Castellanos looks like
Yeah.
he's doing pretty well.
Yeah, his average doesn't say that, but he had his 4th home run, I believe, yesterday.
Yeah.
But they say more importantly than not finding gaps, he's hitting the ball really hard, which is a very good sign. He's roping the ball.
Yeah, because the last thing we wanted was this rookie coming up and just striking out and
Struggling.
popping it up, and
Yeah,
so he looks like he'll settle in nicely.
I'm sure.
432.
432 is his
Yeah.
Billy Butler's average against
70.
Verlander.
Yep,
Dang,
it's
how
74.
does it happen?
Dude, I don't know, man.
Somehow he's tipping it to him, you know?
Yeah.
Somehow.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's obvious. It stands out when you watch Kansas City Royals games.
Yeah.
Well, it says here, I of course would not have known this off the top of my head, but it does say he's a career 296 hitter. So it's not like he's just.
Oh no, he's
he's
a good player.
Yeah. He's an all-star, but
Still.
but still, yeah, you don't expect anybody to have numbers like that against Verlander. That should never be. The other deal with the Tigers, though, is still with this bullpen. Like, what are they going to do? Is it time for Koch to he's just got to go, right?
Well,
Cut ties?
yeah, in the short term here, they're bringing up Robbie Ray to start tomorrow, who was a piece of that Pfister trade.
Okay.
I'm
not familiar.
Left-hander. He's
familiar.
starting in place of Sanchez, who we talked about having the blister. Yeah. So Sanchez is held up right now, and Robbie Ray is going to come in for a spot start. So the question is, what do you do? You know, with the roster, you've got to move somebody. And the speculation today was, is it going to be Koch? I mean, it's just such obviously awful numbers. And isn't it always the case for us Tiger fans where there's somebody every year where they bring him in and it's just a gas can? You're like, come on.
Yep.
And you feel like you see it and for some reason the manager doesn't. And just get him out of there. You can tell after a pitch this guy doesn't have it.
He doesn't have it today.
And yet we're going to leave him in there for an inning and just watch this happen.
Yeah, watch it all unravel. And it's made doubly frustrating when you know you've got such a great club. Your team is so close, and to have this one hole, this glaring spot where it's like, oh God, here we go again.
Hey man, if you've got a left, if you're a lefty, you can stick around the league a long time. And if he was just your run-of-the-mill right-handed pitcher,
dude,
he'd have been gone 5 years ago.
Yes, absolutely.
But
and
it's, we got to have that lefty
why
bullpen help.
Why do baseball purists get so hung up on stuff like that?
It's all about numbers. It's all about stats. It's all about just playing the percentages.
Last I knew, it was about outs and runs. Like, who gives a shit? I don't care if a right-handed guy. I want someone who can get outs, critical outs. And Koch is just not able to do that. For whatever reason, he's not able to do that right now. So,
well, interestingly though, if you let Koch go, the two lefties in the bullpen at that point would be Robbie Ray, who's coming up to do the spot start, and then Ian Kroll, who's the other piece of that Pfister deal.
Right.
So your two lefties could be, what you got for Pfister, and everybody was really unhappy about that deal, and I sort of am still raising my eyebrow too, but you got to wait and see, how these lefties pan out. Again, the value of lefties is
huge
right there.
Yep. Well, it's hard to argue when you find starting pitching that works. You don't mess. It's such it's so critical. Without pitching, it doesn't work. And for the Tigers, who one thing they've got is starting pitching.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, and that's the other piece of that is Smiley, who was the
bullpen.
hero in the bullpen last
Mhm.
year as the lefty, is now a starter.
Right.
So you don't want to mess that up. He just had a great start the other day.
Yeah.
So it's a real question mark right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't just assume that Nathan is all ironed out and ready to go. You know, we
far
saw.
from.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see more of him to
Mhm.
feel comfortable. We saw
Well, who's the guy they signed on Friday?
Joel Hanrahan.
Yes.
Hanrahan.
Yeah, a lot of teams were after him. I don't know much about him. He's from Boston.
He had his best years with the Pirates, but he was with
Okay.
Boston last year.
Right.
And he had the Tommy John. He's actually still out for I think 6 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, so they kind of took him as well. You know, we'll have
Yeah,
him for
a
the
little
summer,
project.
later in the summer, see what happens.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. But like you said, 5 in a row, so I guess we can't complain too much about it.
Yeah.
You know, 5 wins in a row, 7 out of 8, and they're putting a little distance between them and second place. So.
It's looking good for now.
Yeah, so far so good, and I do enjoy watching this team that is stealing bases. They had 3 stolen bases yesterday, and there's no doubt it's a different style of baseball than what Leland was doing, and
not seeing Big Prince out there just loping around station to station.
Boy, does that trade look genius!
Yeah,
Kinsler
he's hitting low 200s over in Texas.
Struggling, which with that short pitch and right,
he was supposed to just slam him.
Oh, he should have taken off out there. What?
Nothing. I heard someone saying today that with the team not being quite as good as that they're not as good still, no matter what people think, as last year. And one of the reasons being Prince Fielder. And he's like, well, I don't really care what he's hitting down there now. And I get that. I don't care either. But then he kind of said, the playoffs. And I'm said, the playoffs. He sucked in the playoffs both times.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm not saying that, I get that he is obviously probably a good hitter still and for power. But the only reason we wanted him was for the playoffs. Who gives a crap about the regular season? They've won the division 3 years in a row.
And he was brutal.
Yeah.
God, when I think about last year, I think about him and Austin Jackson, just how frustrating.
Yeah, it was so frustrating. Of all times to slump, and he was, it put off balance the whole infield even.
Yeah.
They just feel more balanced having a real third baseman playing third and Miggy over at first. It just made sense.
That was such a Illich going, Dave, go get him.
Yeah, I don't care what it costs. That's the piece we need.
Yeah, and Dave going, but we've got a first baseman.
Already.
Well, don't you remember? Because didn't Dave come out saying they were not going to go after him, and then all of a sudden it was like a week later they had him or something?
Yeah.
I thought he said we're not going to. No, we're not.
That shocked everybody, not just fans, but even in that organization. They woke up to that news.
I remember seeing that headline going, oh, sweet, big bat, and then you thought about it, and you're like, well, how does this work? This is stupid.
It didn't make any sense. But Kinsler looks awesome. I'll be honest, I haven't watched every inning of every game this year, and I'll pay more attention as the season goes for sure. But Kinsler, right out of the gate, he sounds like a great guy in the locker room. One of those guys that the city the clubhouse guy that the city will fall in love with. Kind of a gritty player, fast, and everything you see about him seems like every day it makes that trade look better and better.
Yeah, very different than what Prince was portraying as.
For sure.
Certainly near the end, just a big lump.
Yep. Well, why don't we take a quick time out, and then we'll come back, and we've got to discuss what's going on with Nigeria, that whole story with these
kidnapping.
Girls. Crazy. I can't even imagine a story like that. We'll get into that, and then the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
That's always fun.
The president working on his stand-up routine. I'm sure he had a lot to do with that, hand in there and writing his own jokes.
Sure.
And then a kind of a sad story as well with this couple that got married, and then divorced shortly after, and it's not for the reason you might think. So we'll get into all that next on the Detroit Cast.
We'll be back with more of the Detroit Cast after this short break. The Detroit Cast continues now, bitches. Here's Mike and Jay.
Yeah, welcome back to the Detroit Cast. Mike and Jay, and Timko and Eric, everybody here. And just before we took a quick stop there, we had mentioned talking about the White House Correspondents' Dinner over the weekend. I don't know if you saw any highlights from that on Saturday, but actually I was kind of impressed with the with some of the jokes. I love the roasts. You ever see the Comedy Central roast?
And this is as close as you'll get, right?
Yeah.
To be able to roast a sitting president.
Totally. And outside of it's really hard to do. I would think, anyways, those roasts can be really uncomfortable and brutal.
Yeah.
I love that about them. But this one is a different thing, but it's as close, like you say, as we'll get to that. And I thought Joel McHale was in charge of the comedy for the night, I guess, kind of the MC. And Obama did his, he went up and did a comedy routine. And we all know how much of that he wrote. Probably
and then everybody overlaughs at it, right?
Right.
Because he's the guy.
Of course. He's the man.
Yeah, boss. You're hilarious.
Do you want to hear a few minutes of Obama and see how he did at the, again, Saturday night's White House Correspondents' Dinner?
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
Standing ovation.
Thank you.
I guess he beat himself up for the health care.
Thank you so much.
It's a big thing for him.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah. Sit down. Shut up.
Thank you so much. Everybody, please have a seat. Have a seat. Before I get started, can we get the new presidential setup out here?
Two ferns brought out. Reference to his appearance on Zach Galifianakis' show.
It's worked before. That's more like it. It is great to be back. What a year, huh? I usually start these dinners with a few self-deprecating jokes. After my stellar 2013, what could I possibly talk about? I admit it. Last year was rough. Sheesh. At one point, things got so bad, the 47% called Mitt Romney to apologize.
It's not bad.
Of course, we rolled out healthcare.gov. That could have gone better. In 2008, my slogan was, yes, we can. In 2013, my slogan was, Control, Alt, Delete. On the plus side, they did turn the launch of healthcare.gov into one of the year's biggest movies.
I don't get it.
He pointed to something.
Yeah, he
But
pointed at something. I don't know.
rather than dwell on the past, I would like to pivot to this dinner. Let's welcome our headliner this evening, Joel McHale. On Community, Joel plays a preening, self-obsessed narcissist. So this dinner must be a real change of pace for you. I want to thank the White House Correspondents Association for hosting us here tonight. I am happy to be here, even though I am a little jet-lagged from my trip to Malaysia. The lengths we have to go to get CNN coverage these days.
I was going to say, is he going to make a Malaysia jetliner joke?
Yeah, there's a whole lot of dead people there. The bit.
I think they're still searching for their table.
Oh, dude.
That's pretty harsh, man.
MSNBC is here.
That's pretty ballsy.
I agree,
They're a
man.
little overwhelmed. They've never seen an audience this big before.
Should we go to Joel McHale and see how he does? That's pretty ballsy to be making. They haven't even found the plane yet.
This politically correct society that was
Yeah.
that was pushing it.
I mean, Flight 370 hasn't been found yet, and there's a whole lot of dead people on it. Wow, that's he didn't write it, but he delivered it.
Mhm.
I'll give him credit for that. Here's Joel McHale, who again was kind of the main comic.
All right, everybody, here we go. I am the last person standing between you and your after party. So, in just an hour and 15 minutes, you'll be walking out of here, all right? I'm going to break Jay Leno's record tonight. Strap in. Here we go. Good evening, Mr. President, or as Paul Ryan refers to you, yet another inner-city minority relying on the federal government to feed and house your family. I'm a big fan of President Obama. I think he's one of the all-time great presidents, definitely in the top 50. Please explain that to Jessica Simpson. You're right, that was low. All right. How about the president's performance tonight, everyone? Sir,
Not bad, he nods.
it's amazing that you can still bring it with fresh, hilarious material. And my favorite bit of yours was when you said you'd close the detention facility at Guantanamo Bay. That was a classic. That was hilarious. Hilarious. It's still going. I'd like to take a moment to recognize the First Lady, Mrs. Obama. You have been very kind to me and my family, especially when you showed us all how to tear a phone book in half with your bare hands. That was incredible. I'd also like to thank the White House Correspondents Association for having me and for not being able to book Jimmy Fallon. That's true. All right. Look,
big-ass crowd.
I know it's been a long night, but I promise that tonight will be both amusing and over quickly, just like Chris Christie's presidential bid. I got a lot of these tonight, so buckle up, Governor Christie. Excuse me. Extender buckle up. All right.
Another fat joke.
Oh! I deserve that. I agree on that one. You're right on. Now, allow me to tell you a little about myself. My name is Joel McHale. I'm on an NBC show called Community.
Ever watch it?
Yeah.
That's exactly what I
It's weird
thought.
to see Chevy Chase in there, right?
Yeah.
I also host a show called The Soup, which is on the E! Network. Thank you. To Republicans in attendance, E! is the channel that your deeply closeted gay son likes to watch. Democrats, it's the same channel that your happy, openly gay son likes to watch. E! is also home to the Kardashians, who, believe it or not, are Republicans. And I know that because they're always trying to screw black people.
That's a ballsy joke in that room.
Now just the men. Okay. It's an honor to be here tonight at the Washington Hilton.
Oh.
I'm tingling with excitement. Or maybe that's just the bed bugs. I hope you all enjoyed your dinner. The filet tonight was grass-fed beef, freshly dragged off the Clive and Bundy Ranch. The steaks are very tasty once you pull off the tiny white hoods. Oh, see, you like Clive and Bundy. Okay, I get it. All right, great. All right, let it be known. Let the record show. All right. Tonight's show is being broadcast on C-SPAN. C-SPAN is, C-SPAN is like one of those paranormal activity movies. It's just grainy shots of empty rooms interrupted by images of people you're pretty sure died a few years ago.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Anyway, it gives you a taste of what he's doing. I think that would be a really hard room to do that in.
Yeah.
With that stuffy ass room.
Usually they have a little bit higher level, like more well-known people go for that. He's a bit more on the obscure end.
Yeah.
To handle that, but
there's probably some truth to the whole Jimmy Fallon.
Right.
I bet there is truth to that.
For sure, he would be the guy you'd want right now.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I wonder what he was doing. That's a pretty big event. But yeah, I of all rooms, I could see doing the roast. That I don't know if I'd want to get up there and be doing racist jokes. You know what I mean? On any level, in that room, you can just feel it in there. It's uncomfortable to even watch. But I give kudos to Joel McHale. That was what I heard, anyways. Was good. I'll watch the rest of it later. Hopefully, it looked like he went for a long time too. Was it like 25 minutes or something? Wow. Yeah. Anyway, one of the other things we mentioned before the break was the thing in Nigeria. What's going on in Nigeria right now? And I don't know. It doesn't even seem possible in the world that we live in and we know. And basically, I don't know if it was an all-girls school, but this school with these women, 260 girls were kidnapped in the middle of the night by rebels there that just stormed the place, kidnapped these women, took them all, 260 girls, teenage girls, and are going to sell them off for marriage.
Yeah, we just saw a video released today by some leader of the rebels or whatever who said, yeah, we're selling your daughters. Jeez.
Can you imagine?
Again, you say, can you imagine that happening? And here we are living in this great country, and you sometimes forget the rest of the world is just, man, there's some messes out there. And how lucky we are to be here.
Yeah, it just doesn't even seem like it's the same world.
Right,
like
the same time.
How
can this be happening right now?
Yeah, I mean, think about that in America. 270 teenage girls kidnapped and sold off into marriage.
Yeah.
By the way, who are the creeps that are buying these fucking girls? Seriously. Who is buying for $12?
Yeah.
By the way, I think they were, could you imagine finding out your daughter was sold for $12 to some total idiot asshole looking to get married?
Disgusting, man.
Totally disgusting. It's crazy. And people want America. Of course, this is when they want America to get involved. You need to help us find these girls. And
yeah, they have no idea where they are. They think they went to a neighboring country somewhere. They've recovered 0 out of the 260 or whatever.
Yeah, 0.
And it's been 2 weeks.
Yeah, yep. And so John Kerry is over there speaking on it. We will find the people responsible and blah, blah, blah. But so far, nothing. Like you say, it's been a couple weeks and they found nothing. So I don't know what you do, but it's interesting because the Nigerian leader was saying, yeah, we'll do anything to bring these to people to justice and find these girls and blah, blah, blah. But then you're starting to hear reports today also that the people that are organizing these rallies to bring back these girls, his wife, this Nigerian president's wife, had 2 of them arrested.
So they're probably getting too critical of the government, maybe, or the government's efforts.
I don't know, but that
sounds like it's coming apart a little bit.
Yeah, which shouldn't surprise too many people. When you're dealing with the other parts of the world like that, where it just seems like 2 different worlds entirely.
Yeah.
That it couldn't. When you try to think of our terms, and I think you were saying, Jay, I thought it was interesting, just about it's a coin flip, man.
Right. It's a roll of a dice, right? That you end up where you do, or it seems to be to us at least. I mean, we can't. Who can say how you end up where you are or what?
Right.
But shit. I mean, here we are in this time, and have wealth, and we get pissed off when I don't have the right wheels on my car. Or something, Oh God, I need this. No, you don't need that. When you look at the rest of the world, there's people who spend their whole lives or their whole day just trying to find fresh water.
Yeah.
And here we are dicking around on how many $1,000 board you have here and microphones and
right.
Hopefully entertaining some people.
Right. Doing a talk show about this going on in the world, and hey, I got to fill my pool up next week.
Yeah. I mean, there's real suffering out there, and here we just got to realize you're blessed.
Yeah. There's
really are.
No doubt about it. It really minimizes. You feel kind of like an asshole. Like, looking at this house, you could fit 1,000 of these families in here.
Yeah.
It just seems like really it can make you feel small and kind of like an asshole. I feel like a dick. It's like, God, look at these people. It's amazing. But
people with real problems.
Yeah, real problems. In fact, there's a couple of them. This couple, and this was posted on. I think Izzy posted this actually on my Facebook page. It's the first time I saw
Izzy
it.
the dog.
The dog, yes. About this couple that gets married. This is unbelievable, man. And I think this is somewhere in England.
Oh, this is a real problem too.
Yeah. This couple gets married, loving couple. They're young, in love, and they get married. And lo and behold, they find out that they were twins, separated at birth. Didn't know that they were related. Didn't know they had a twin. Can you imagine, dude, if you found out next week that you and Gab were twins? Oh, dude, what do you do? And they immediately did what I think we would all do. Got a friggin' divorce. They got it annulled immediately. But we nailed her.
You said what we would all do. Eric's sitting here.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I shouldn't speak for Eric.
What is that supposed to mean? How old are they? 70? You said, or whatever?
No, this couple.
They're like
no,
30-something. Or
if that.
Oh, you know what?
I'm a young couple.
You know what? I'm thinking of something else because I think I saw just recently on my wall something about some long-time twin just meeting.
There were 2 elderly ladies who just met, but we're talking about a
They're
couple.
Like 30?
And we would react by divorcing that individual.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
Out would too, I guess. I don't know.
Maybe if push came to shove and you found that
he'd bang her one more time.
Yeah, of course.
keep me out. I'd probably divorce her, but I would keep the options open.
Yeah, I've already hit it. Look at them. Do they were talking about how when they met, There was
They do very much look alike. Good-looking people.
Yeah.
But look strangely similar for sure.
Do they? They look like a normal couple.
No, look at their
kind of.
facial structure, man.
So they should have known. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
they should have known.
suspected.
But what are they gonna? I mean, you say you'd instantly divorce them, but I mean, what are they?
Yeah, I do see some similarities, but they talk about how they met, and it was like, yeah, there was just this really strong pull to each other, and it's like
so just wrong.
When you think of your brother or your sister, it's like, oh, I can't even imagine it. Everything you've done together is falling in love, and all the romantic, the honeymoon, and the god awful things you did to your sister. Oh man.
Sick bastard.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
Where's
Yeah, it's brutal, dude.
It's some brutal news.
Where's Joe Dirt when you need that? I'm your sister.
Yeah, I'm your sister. I'm your sister. Yeah, that's a tough one, man. I wonder how often that happens, that sort of thing.
In Kentucky
Seriously.
or in Michigan?
Well, people that have no idea.
Yeah.
They have no idea.
Well, the reason this came to light was, as you said, it was in England, but some English legislature was bringing this up. Legislator was bringing it up as an example of, look what happened. We need a new law that can allow adoptees to find out more about their birth parents.
Right. And
look at this extreme.
Which is a real extreme. I mean, how do you argue that? How do you say, like, yeah, it's that's a tough one, man. That's a real tough one. So what are they trying to get, that when you hit the age of 18 you should be able to learn who your birth parents are? That's another one of those arguments where I can see both sides.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if you donated and it's the whole anonymity thing, I can understand how it's like, hey, I did my part. I jacked off into a sock for you, and now you're making babies with it.
Well, it's not just sperm donors, though. It's people who have kids who put them up for adoption because they can't handle them. You know, some 17-year-old or whatever just says, I can't.
Well, what do you think is more critical then? The right of the parents, or the guy who donated sperm but doesn't want anything to do with anybody down the road, or whether it's the couple that says or the single parent that says, I can't raise a child, I'm giving it up for adoption, but I don't want them to know who I am? Or do you think that is more important, or the kids knowing their medical history? And
that's the medical history is an important one, but you can't give the total right to the child, because then people wouldn't have the interest in doing it as much. There'd be people that just say, no, I'm getting an abortion. I'm not giving up a kid and then having that kid come back at me 18 years later. No way.
Wanting money or support or whatever. Yeah, it's a tough conversation, and there's probably a medium somewhere you could do where you can give up some sort of history of medical history as part of the whatever, so that the kid doesn't grow up blind, knowing that there's a heart condition that runs in the family or whatever. There's got to be some happy medium in there. What are you laughing at?
Do they go back to being sisters, like a brother now? Do they have like family reunions and they just,
hey,
how's it going?
Yeah, I don't know.
Deal with that?
Oh, it's a little
I think
awkward.
that's so twisted. You might just agree to stay married.
In that situation?
You might. Just like, look, we're never having babies. We'll have like 8-headed babies. We can't do that. We know.
Yeah.
But you know what? We're legitimately in love. We've gone down this far, right?
Yeah. Why stop now?
I don't know. I think it has to be on the table at least. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, but dude, every time you looked at her from that point on, you would just know. But
would you though?
It's weird. It is weird because you didn't grow up. Their version of brother and sister is different from ours. We grew up with our brother or sisters or whatever and knew them, but these people are virtual strangers.
Other than their relationship that they have.
Yeah, other than
I think
blood
it's got to be on the table, staying together.
Exactly. And then, like I said, like if it isn't, you show up to family reunions, like, oh boy, the ex is gonna be there.
You get jealous.
Up either
She's
way.
got a new guy, and he's jealous of it. You know, and he wants to congratulate his sister on one end, on the other end, he's totally jealous of the thing.
Like, you can't.
That would suck.
You're right, because you would be jealous, right? How could you not be?
Yeah, you were in love with this person.
You got married.
And you did god awful nasty stuff sexually with this person. You'd be humiliated. You wouldn't want anybody knowing the things you did to this girl, this poor girl.
I think Jay's right.
Your sister.
I think you should just. I think it would not be as far-fetched. Just.
It's not as far-fetched now that
Throw
you talk it
caution to the
through.
wind.
You talk it through, and it's got to be on the table. Stand together.
Could you do that if you found out Gab was actually your sister?
But you're fighting to get 30 or something. It's not like...
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying. I don't want to marry my sister.
Well,
I don't want to bang my sister. I don't want to marry my sister.
For the record, either do I.
I don't either.
But if those were the cards you were dealt, you would stay together with your sister, and I wouldn't.
I might, man.
I might. I think you just are underestimating that mindset that you met a person that you didn't. It would have been like if you just met some chick at a bar, all of a sudden you like her, you start going on a few dates, you marry her, and then you find out you're a sister. I don't know.
Yeah, that's cool. You guys can.
I'm pretty far down the line, dude. I'm pretty far down the line. I might stay with my sister. Gab.
That's awful. Well, good luck with that, you guys. I hope you don't find out down the road that these were in fact your sisters. I'm going to hold you to it. I'm going to make you guys stay together. That's the tough one.
Well, I'm going to have to find a girl, fall in love, and then you're going to have to
you need to
out
find a girl who will fall in love with you.
Yeah.
Should we get into this
yes,
real quick?
We have to get into
wrap
this.
things on this. It really does show some things really bring it home as to how small of a world we actually live in.
From one coincidence to another.
Yes. And this is almost hard to believe, but I'll do the best I can in explaining this situation. Beth,
Mike's sister.
My sister. My twin, by the way.
Or your girlfriend.
Sister. Yeah, same thing. Whatever. Beth was telling me about when she was in 10th grade in high school, and she'd what?
I don't know. I'm just excited for some reason.
You should be.
No, you're not. Anyway.
She had a class in school where they had to write kind of the letters to the editor thing for a school project, right?
Yeah.
And so they write each student wrote this letter to the editor type story and turned them in, and she got a good grade on it. In fact, the teacher was so impressed with this thing that he wanted to send it to the paper for real. And everything about her was like, no, I don't want anything to do with sending this thing to an actual newspaper and having a published thing. You know, I'm a 10th grade student in high school. I don't want anything to do with that. But anyway, she ends up getting talked into it, and so she sends it to the school sends it to the newspaper, and they actually published it and printed the story. I wish I had the story. I don't. I know. It sucks, but I have the second half of the story. But it was something about, she'd obviously written an article about small businesses, hiring practices, and whether they should take someone who was in jail for some reason and then released from jail, should they be given a fair shot and hired. And I think at the time, as a 10th grade 15-year-old girl, she believed that, oh yeah, they've paid their debt to society and
idealistic.
Exactly. You should give them a chance and hire them. So ends up someone reads her article and wrote this big letter to her about and I don't know, should we read some of the letter?
Yeah, just a couple lines maybe.
Dear Beth, I read your editorial in the Milford Times.
The Milford Times. I forget that she went to freaking...
Yeah, the same area as you.
I get the Milford Times every week.
Yep. I read your article in the Milford Times concerning ex-convicts. I would like to share with you my thoughts on why people who have been convicted of a crime have a tough time finding trust and good employment. In life, you must ultimately learn how to judge people. You can develop a philosophy to discriminate the differences in who you can trust or who will bring you harm. For instance, do you trust your teachers with your safety, or do you fear for your life? You have made a basic judgment that you are safe in school, I hope. One of the ways to make that judgment is to look for a person's strength of character. And character is developing the good moral habits of honesty, integrity, courage, and temperance. To develop a habit, you repeat something over and over until it becomes a part of your nature, and so you do it without thought. Strength of character helps you identify the real goods in life and how to get them. But how do you know a person has a strength of character? He goes on and writes this like 2-page letter, all typed out, single space, and then attaches a article from a paper about, with examples proving his point about this and that. And so Beth writes me and is like, hey, what's Eric's parents' names?
No. Did you say what I was saying? No, wait. No way. It was
and
not,
I'm like,
was it?
I don't know.
No. It was, wasn't it? Are you... The minute you hear me learning it to you, did you hear me listening that to you?
As you're reading that, Mike, Eric's going, it sounds like my dad.
Are you
from Mike Fady?
Are you kidding me? I
don't know if the address is right.
I can't believe he would write into freaking the Milford Times.
He wrote in to admonish a 10th grade girl
God.
on her liberal views.
Oh
that he
my
disagreed
God.
with harshly.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
The fact that Beth even put it together,
Oh my
like
goodness.
the name
I was
and the
so
area.
wondering why you you know what? It's funny because I didn't
Where are
want
you
to
going with
ask
this?
later. Just when you asked me what my parents' names were, on
Yeah.
me,
Yep.
I said, why would he want to know what my parents' names were? You know what?
Isn't that awesome?
Is that a crazy coincidence or what?
Dude.
Man, that's crazy.
And you know what? Actually, I'll give your dad this. He sounds way more normal than I would have thought. Your dad, the guy that's responsible for the mess that is you. He sounds, he sounds way more together, and he sounds like a good family guy.
This is funny.
Yeah, it's not just like mutterings of.
This really reminds me of a time because I've always been more like on the Beth side, growing up, kind of like. More like give people character. This is crap. If so and so, if I made mistakes, you shouldn't. If I wear like my dad's wear a tie, dress up to work. I'm like that shouldn't matter. Why should it matter if I go to work? If if I'm like clothes are a little messy or And it just reminds. I mean, this is just. Like, did you see that? When I said
yes.
When I said
you
said
called
this
it,
sounds
dude.
like my dad. Like
that's funny.
I swear that's right.
You grew up with a guy.
Why don't you read Beth's response?
Yeah, Beth actually has a couple pages.
Can I give this
Put pen to paper.
Yeah, you got to give it back though, so I can give it back to Beth.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can show it to your dad. So Beth ends up. It sounds like she was going to write Mike Fady back and tear him a new one. As far as she got was Dear Mike.
Is that real? Like, you didn't just write that, or
no? This was in there. She literally doesn't even remember like the school project at all. But she's like, it's hilarious. I was clearly gonna write him back.
Sit down, Dear Mike. Fuck
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. What's the point?
Go drink wine coolers.
Was this in the paper? This response, or was it just he wrote it?
He wrote it to.
And they just gave it to him.
That the school. Is that his handwriting?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And wait, did you say where Beth found this? It was just in some junk, right? That she had.
She
was
had a
looking
box
through some,
of old school
I would have been
stuff
12 when he
whatever.
wrote this. Like I would have been in middle school.
Yeah.
When he
and he writes in there about.
He would never. I can't believe he never told me this idea that he wrote into the Milford Times and stuff like this. Like,
well, he wrote it to the school. Attention,
gosh.
Beth Dillon at this Lakeland High School.
God,
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Oh my God, that's so crazy to me.
Yeah, but in there he talks about when I'm trying to put food on the table for my kids and I'm sitting there reading it going, he's talking about little Eric. He's talking about little Eric whose mouth he's feeding.
That is so his opinion. That would be. I mean, it is. He wrote obviously a 2-letter thing here almost, but just so what he would.
Yeah.
Say he's just very much on character, very much on your reputation is everything, and if you know it, and I've always because you kind of know the idea of having a mohawk or I have tattoos. My dad would just know people,
the impression you're giving people,
right? And your impression is my impression. Like me going out there is the same as that's on him.
Of course.
So if I'm out there
So this is killing him.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah. Even when I was on the Drew and Mike show as an intern, he would he got to a point where he thought it was cool. He did get a little acceptance when he started having friends come up and kind of saying, "Oh, I heard, is that your kid? He's funny or whatever." But still, constantly always, you don't have to tell the whole story every time. You don't have to run in to tell them everything you've done in the weekend.
He might be right.
He's bringing a valid point.
Wise man. He's wise
but
man.
if that was the case, I mean, good or bad, I would never became whatever, and I am here now, I guess, because of that. But it's just funny because this is. It's just
so your dad. You knew it as I was reading it.
Yeah.
Well, make sure you show it to him and see what he says.
Oh my God.
It obviously hit
See if he remembers it.
Yeah.
He probably did 100 of these.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck, I don't know. It's
10th graders
I used
all
to
over.
rattle those off.
Joking aside, I would say I don't think so, because knowing him, I doubt it that he wrote a bunch of them. But on the same hand, look at this. This is 2
Who knows?
pages
Maybe.
here.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Well,
it's 528 netted. That just
have fun with it.
Yeah. That's wow.
Yeah.
That's funny.
All right, guys. Why don't we call it there for a Monday edition of the Detroit Cast? Thank you for listening. Make sure you tell someone where to find us, and we want as many people listening as we can possibly get. and we'll do it again on Wednesday. So we'll see you then. So thanks for listening.
You have been listening to the Detroit Cast with your hosts, Mike Clark and Mike Walters.
Shut your fucking mouth.
From all of us at Radio for One Studios, thank you for listening, and as always, thank you, Detroit.
I don't like you, I hate you.